Good morning to you, Madam President, and similar salutations to my fellow senators. Bonjour à toutes et à tous. I also want to echo the welcoming remarks to Honorable Senator Herman Gill Francis and also Marisa Thomas Francis, who are back in the Parliament with us today, and that can only add to the quality of the debate here today. Madam President, I rise to categorically oppose the motion being tabled here today to extend the state of emergency from May 17, 2021 to October 16, 2021. I will be a little more forthright and radical than my lead senator in that I contend very strongly, Madam President, and with very little fear of sincere contradiction by members opposite, that the decision to extend this ongoing state of emergency, initially put into place for 1 week, and then it was extended for 3 months, and now it is being put in place for 5 months. I will not reiterate the obvious burden that places on our citizenry, but suffice to say that 5 months, Madam President, is questionable at best, and it is very questionable. Whilst we all understand that the COVID situation, the pandemic, is a very fluid one facing the globe, Madam President, our previous enactment of fully loaded COVID bid, the Prevention and Control Act number 9 of 2020, as articulated by my former colleague, together with other legislation already on our books, it lends enough force to actually control and manage properly the COVID pandemic, especially at this time. I feel very, very strongly about this, Madam President, because the issues at hand, inclusive of the operating times of businesses, establishments, schools, and even the sale and disposal of intoxicating liquor, all of this can be done without imposing a curfew. This has already been litigated by my colleague, so I will not dwell on this. But I will ask a very pertinent question, though. Why the administration's absolute fixation on having a curfew in its toolbox? Regarding its rationale for the extension of the state of emergency, Madam President, they seem to be, like already put forward by Honorable Senator, it seems to be a distaste in the mouths of the common man and woman within the St. Lucian society. And let us not, like I said, belittle them. There's a lot of common sense with these common people. Already, the decision to request an extension has already been overwhelmingly graded down as a poor decision. And you can hear it being echoed in the bus stops, the bus stands, the public buses, the food markets, and of course, what's relevant these days, it is very, very prevalent on social media. This may not be the gauge that the administration will choose to follow, and I respect the reference to the experts, the CMO, the Ministry of Health, but that we have to take with a pinch of salt. There is one school of thought that says that this decision came out of a hasty move by a few individuals. I can benefit from the enlightenment from the other side as to the process. Was there any reference to the data showing the increase, mapping out the areas of St. Lucia that are more vulnerable and where the COVID is going up or going down? We have nothing but trust to go on. And we know that there's been a deficiency in trust in the administration. That has already been litigated. Madam President, I also would like to draw your attention to another very important matter here. there is going to be a very significant economic loss. Economics, the cost opportunity of having a state of emergency. We look at business and we look at foreign direct investment in the first instance. It would be not so prudent for a foreign investor to come into a foreign country when there is a state of emergency. The local businessman, on the other hand, if he decides to stay the course, what decisions does he make? How does he decide whether he's going to expand his business, acquire new plant or equipment, regulate how much hiring or firing that he does? These decisions, Madam Speaker, they are not those that we take lightly during a state of emergency. The other extreme is that, Madam President, if there was a war and there was really a need for a state of emergency, you knew that that would have been off the table completely. Investment, both local and from abroad. If there was a war. Now we have to expand it so that we can show you that there's always in between. But a state of emergency, these are one of the preconditions that would justify a state of emergency. It's not something to be taken lightly, members on the other side. Through you, Madam President. There's also another area that I just spoke to just before, the lack of transparency and accountability. And we know that one of the machinations of a state of emergency is that you can determine that contracts are to be let under a guise of urgency. And so we lose the benefit of tendering in that we are more likely to secure better prices from contractors. There is less likelihood of nepotism, picking and choosing who does what for government and at what cost. So we have to be very cognizant of the fact that there is an attendant loss of transparency and accountability during a state of emergency. This is not to be taken lightly. In this very honorable House, Madam President, we have approved in September last year the reform in public finance administration. Whether it was under pressure from the regional or international institutions for accountability, that's for another discussion. But surely, we went into and passed the Public Finance and Management Act. And that was supposed to engender more accountability in how monies from the Consolidated Fund is spent. So what happens now with the state of emergency? It would be interesting, Madam President, if the government would take a suggestion, a humble one at that we form a select committee of Parliament. Any contracts to be let over $1 million has to get a green light from a select committee. Will this happen? Your guess is as good as mine. So it would be very instructive, Madam President, to keep a log of the various contracts to be let over the next 5 months. The amounts relative to the attendant scope of works and the names of these awardees, Madam President. I personally do not anticipate any new start to the already established norms. I do not expect that. But this is done all in the name of COVID. And it is a very, very serious matter. But the underlying currents seem to say differently. You see, Madam President, the members of the current administration perpetually advance the argument that the SLP is a party of opposition. Of course we are in opposition. but not just for opposing sake. We give suggestions, and very sensible ones at times, but they seem to fall on deaf ears. Case in point, the respectable leader of the St. Lucia Labour Party, the Honorable Philip J. Pierre, he articulated, Madam President, a 7-point rescue plan to manage and eventually eliminate COVID from our shores. These were simple suggestions, a 7-point plan. And permit me, Madam President, to reiterate for the benefit of all and sundry the propositions that were placed as far back as February 1st by the Honorable Leader. So we find ourselves 3 months later debating the extension of a state of emergency, supposedly driven by the same virus, when the old adage of a stitch in time saves 9. Those of you who would refer to the old Student's Companion would remember that these are one of the quotations. A stitch in time saves 9. So we don't need all of these sophisticated methods at times. Simple practices. And I give, Madam President, the following. The 7-point plan read inter alia, and I'll give you the unadulterated readout of the 7-point plan. 1, Madam President, it called for expansion of testing and tracing. 2, it called for expanding treatment capacity. 3, it asked to rethink travel and tourism related measures. We understand now that the emphasis will be in the next couple of weeks on cruise tourism. All well and good as far as stimulating economic activity for all of us. But let us rethink as to how we roll this out and who is going to be the beneficiary. Is it going to be at the expense of our local people, or it's supposed to bolster the balance sheet of the cruise liners? The 4th point on this 7-point plan was to revise the shutdown of the country in the form of temporary shutdown, state of emergency. Let's just revise this. Simple measures. Number 5, it called for protection of our education sector. I will take the initiative to add on, apart from protecting the education sector, to augment the amount of resources that we are going to allocate to the education sector, to ensure that the protocols at schools, the teachers, parents, and students are put in place. And number 6, it said, quickly implement a vaccination program. I repeat, Madam President, quickly implement a vaccination program. That is very relevant now. And the lead senator before me made reference to Barbados. Not only do they do 4 times the amount of testing, but to date, Madam President, they have already achieved in excess of 154,000 jabs, whilst, sad to say, we are struggling to cross the finish line of 25,000. And we understand that there may well be a shortage of vaccines. The benevolent country of India, we all know what they're going through. At the moment, they don't even have enough resources to use within India itself. So, we hope and pray. And the last but not least, we said that implement an economic and social relief program. Number 7. These are all sensible recommendations in the form of a 7-point plan that is still very, very relevant today. I also find it fair and reasonable, through you, Madam President, to pose the following questions to the Honorable Senator for Government Business. As we can see, all the pertinent issues justifying the extension of the state of emergency deals with the health matters. So A, the question is to the leader of government business. If we were the best in the Caribbean, why haven't we done much better or even average in so many facets of COVID-19 management and control? And now we require a 5-month extension to make up lost ground. B, is there a plan for more serious testing program? For example, Madam President, the whole country was hopeful when we started off and initiated the VG Sports Complex testing program. What has happened to this program? I beg that question to be answered. What has happened to the testing program when it is still relevant? What about the public service announcements? What about the education component that is so vital in generating interest and sustaining such a program? I live in St. Lucia, Madam President. I don't hear any PSAs. All I've been hearing lately is that vaccination will be taking place next week at the Beausejour Cricket Ground in Ancillary. That should not be eliminated by any means. But what about testing? The two go hand in hand. And also relevant, Madam President, is there an effort, Madam President, to demystify the notion of the variants? I was surprised to hear that in the debate at the lower house, I couldn't believe my ears when the Right Honorable Prime Minister referred to the word variant. To my mind, and Hansard can prove me wrong, I have never heard at least the mention of the word variant. Least you would expect any focus on the British variant, the B117, the South African variant, SA1351, the Brazilian variant, P1, and also some people are asking, is there a 2-island variant in St. Lucia at the moment? 2 different islands. We very well may be encountering a 2 St. Lucia variant shortly. It may not be in medical terms, but it certainly will be in economic. The final question to the Honorable Leader of Government Business, through you again, Madam President. I sincerely would like to know, on a point of accountability, what has happened to the $54 million loan facility, 20 million US, that was secured from the IDA, and it was for a health strengthening project. Is it ever possible that we have spent $54 million to upgrade our existing facilities? I beg the question. And as well, Madam President, has there been a change of heart by the current administration to finally, not humble, but take under advice the pleas and cries for social and economic relief programs that are sincere, that are two-sided, that are inclusive of everyone? We harp and say that the opposition party is a party of opposing and there are no ideas. And I heard the question, what is the opposition going to do? Are they going to suspend the SOE? Are they going to open up the country? Madam President, I contend that we have a sensible St. Lucia Labour Party and a very responsible party. But I reiterate, Madam President, that the simple measures outlined in the 7-point plan would have been very much on point relative to what obtains today. We are nowhere. We are stuck in neutral. We're not going anywhere. Refer to the statistics, Madam President. We are not going anywhere, not even with the vaccination. We know, we talk about herd immunity. To achieve herd immunity, the maths is very easy, Madam Speaker. Take a lower limit of 60%. At the moment, the scientists are wavering between 60, 70%. Let's go 60%. A population of 180,000. Madam President, this is 104,000. Quick maths. Are we, with all the talk of vaccine hesitancy, the absence of educational programs, nobody's convincing anybody as far as the merits of taking the vaccine, and realistically we are going to say that we are going to achieve herd immunity? Madam President, I think we should take a different approach. As much as I would be hopeful, I volunteered, and so did everybody in the Parliament. I think, if I'm not mistaken, we have all taken 2 shots of the vaccine. But we have to broaden the net, Madam President. We have to be the fisher of men. Herd immunity will not be possible using the approach that we are doing now. It's a tall order. 104,000 people to be vaccinated, not once but twice. And that is the prescription of the AstraZeneca vaccine. 2 jabs. Finally, Madam President, I will end by respectfully seeking your indulgence in delivering a short advisory to the entire government administration and their favorite guys. That for the period of 5 years prescribed for the national exam, that has now elapsed. It has now expired. It has run out. It has finished. It's fini. You are all asked to put your pens down. What you have not answered or not done so far, admittedly, you will not be able to complete. The time is up. You may now leave the room in single file. Thank you. Long live the incoming St. Lucia Labour Party, the best bet to salvage our future as a united Helen. I thank you once again for your guidance and your patience, Madam President.